Okay, before we even get into the meat of today's explainer, I actually want to try a little experiment with you right now. Let's just break the fourth wall for a second, because I need you to remember a very strange word. The word is quokka. Now, if you don't know, a quokka is this small, incredibly cute animal from Australia that basically looks like it's constantly smiling. And, well, that's it. That's the whole experiment. Just remember this word, quokka, because I have a prediction for you. Within the next few days, or maybe the next few weeks, you are going to see the word quokka somewhere. It might be in a random clip online, a social media post, a meme, or an article. And when it happens, you're going to think to yourself, no way, that is so weird. I had literally never heard of a quokka before today. But here is the twist. The world didn't suddenly become obsessed with this little Australian animal. Your brain did.
So, let's dive into this. What we just triggered in your mind has an actual scientific name. It's called the Baader-Meinhof Phenomenon, or, more commonly, the frequency illusion. It's that bizarre experience where something you just learned suddenly seems to pop up absolutely everywhere. And it's caused entirely by a shift in your attention. Once you truly grasp how this cognitive trick works, you are going to realize that it is happening to you all the time.
Part 1. Patterns in life. Everyday encounters. Imagine, just as an example, that you're thinking about buying a red Toyota Corolla. Yesterday, you probably barely even noticed the cars on the road, right?
But today, everywhere you look, you see red Toyota Corollas. There's one at the traffic light. There's one parked at the grocery store. One drives literally right past your house. Suddenly, it feels like half the city owns this exact car. Now, the illusion here is that thousands of people rushed out and bought red Corollas overnight. But the reality? Your attention changed, not reality. You simply started looking for them. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the mechanics of how this happens. Let's peek at the cognitive gears turning in your head. It's a pretty precise process. Step 1. You notice something new, right? A word, a product, a person, maybe an idea. Step 2. Your brain unconsciously starts paying attention to it, basically adding it to its active radar. Step 3. Every time you encounter it again, your brain flags it. Wow, there it is again. Because these encounters feel highly surprising to you, they become incredibly memorable. Very quickly, it seems like the thing is everywhere.
Let's fire through some really common examples, starting with expecting parents. Ask almost anyone who just found out they're having a baby. The moment they realize they're expecting, they start noticing pregnant women everywhere. Suddenly, every single commercial seems to be about babies. Every friend is randomly announcing a pregnancy, and every store you walk into is practically overflowing with baby products. It feels as though the entire world became pregnant overnight. But it didn't. Their attention simply changed. Or, hey, how about when you learn a new word or concept? Let's say you read an article and discover the word stoicism. Before today, nothing. But suddenly, you notice it on your favorite audio shows. A creator you watch is talking about it. A book on your shelf references it. Someone even brings it up in a random conversation at work. You start wondering, why is everyone suddenly so obsessed with stoicism? The truth is, people were talking about it long before. You just weren't listening for it.
Now, what's really interesting is how the frequency illusion scales up to impact massive things like investing and our perception of the economy. Let's say someone tells you artificial intelligence is the future. Now, suddenly, AI is in every single news headline. Every company is discussing it. Every investor is talking about it. And every earnings call mentions it. You begin to feel like AI is suddenly consuming the entire economy. And, well, while it may indeed be important, your perception of its massive prevalence is being heavily amplified by your newly focused attention.
And this leads us to kind of a fascinating quirk of human nature. Have you ever learned a new word and then heard it 3 times in the exact same day? It's one of the most common experiences people have. And human perception often interprets these moments, like noticing a blue bracelet everywhere you go, or suddenly hearing multiple stories about a rare disease, as a meaningful sign from the universe. But psychology offers a much simpler, more grounded explanation: selective attention. Your brain finally added that specific detail to its radar. The brain loves to interpret repeated encounters as meaningful patterns, but honestly, it's really just attention at play. Part 2. Dangerous beliefs, the dark side of focus. Because this phenomenon does have a slightly more serious side, and it carries real-world consequences for how we navigate our lives. The danger lies in the fact that what you notice heavily influences what you actually believe. If you become convinced that crime is rising, you are going to notice every single crime story on the news. If you believe people are generally becoming rude, you will notice rude behavior absolutely everywhere you go. If you start assuming your coworkers dislike you, you will unconsciously start collecting evidence that supports that exact belief. Soon, it feels undeniable. Not because it's objectively true, but because you are constantly noticing the exact information that confirms it. And this brilliantly illustrates the psychological feedback loop that makes the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon genuinely dangerous. It can quietly reinforce your existing beliefs. Let's walk through it. Step 1. You notice a detail. Step 2. The more you notice it, the more common it feels. Step 3. The more common it feels, the more convinced you become that it's a universal truth. And Step 4. The more convinced you become, well, the more you notice it. It's basically a closed loop of selective attention validating itself. And in our modern world, we've actually built a massive engine that supercharges this exact effect: social media. Think about your own feed for a second. You watch exactly one video about entrepreneurship, and suddenly your feed is absolutely full of entrepreneurs. You watch one video about cryptocurrency. Boom, crypto is everywhere. You watch one video on minimalism. Suddenly it appears the entire internet is obsessed with living with only 20 possessions. Let's just pause on this quote for a second because it is a super powerful realization. The algorithm isn't just feeding you content, it's feeding your frequency illusion. That is profound. The technology we use every single day doesn't just show us what we want to see, it artificially validates the cognitive bias our brain is already prone to, making our illusions feel like absolute reality.
Section 3. Protect yourself, breaking the illusion. So with our own brains and our social algorithms kind of working together to spot patterns that might not really be there, we need a simple, reliable mental framework to break this cognitive loop.
The ultimate antidote really comes down to asking yourself one simple question. The next time you find yourself thinking, why am I suddenly seeing this everywhere? I want you to pause, take a breath, and ask yourself this: am I actually seeing more of it, or am I simply noticing it more? That single, crucial question can save you from countless mistaken assumptions.
Which brings us exactly back to where we started today's explainer. Remember our trigger word? Quokka.
There is a very, very decent chance you are going to encounter this smiling little animal again soon. And when you do, it might feel deeply mysterious. It might feel like a wild coincidence. It might even feel like the universe is trying to tell you something. But always remember, it's not the universe. Your brain is simply doing what it does best: finding patterns, paying attention, and turning something that was always there into something that suddenly seems to be absolutely everywhere. So, as you go through your week, I'll leave you with this provocative thought: what else in your life right now is just a frequency illusion waiting for you to notice it?